Pastor Joe here, and I'm so glad to be here with you today as we talk about an important and challenging topic: navigating dating and marriage during the time of the Antichrist. If you remember from our last video, I laid out clear biblical evidence showing that Donald Trump is the Antichrist. Please check out the video if you haven't. Specifically, we'll be looking at the unique challenges that come when the world is filled with such uncertainty. And the question arises of whether or not we could be living under the reign of the Antichrist. I understand that this idea that Donald Trump is the Antichrist has stirred a lot of conversation, but regardless of the specific political figures involved, we know we're living in perilous times. Today, I want to focus on how to deal with relationships during this season of spiritual warfare, political chaos, and biblical prophecy unfolding. Before we dive in, I encourage you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join our Zoom fellowship tonight at 8 p.m. EST. You won't want to miss this time of encouragement and community. The link is in the description below. Dating today is nothing like it was a generation ago. It's not just about finding someone who shares your interests or likes the same movies. It's about navigating a world where politics, spirituality, and deception are tangled in ways we never expected. With theories about the Antichrist gaining traction, many Christians are struggling with their spiritual discernment. Is our world really headed toward the rise of the Antichrist? And how does that affect my decisions about who to date? These are difficult questions that require thoughtful, prayerful answers. As someone who's been married for many years and has walked with singles and couples through the ups and downs of life, I can tell you this: dating in these end times is more complicated than ever. And for singles, now might not be the time to prioritize finding a partner, especially if you're feeling the weight of the world's challenges pressing down on your heart. In fact, I want to encourage you not to rush into dating, but to instead focus on strengthening your relationship with Christ and diving deep into ministry. I want to repeat that if you are currently single, I do not believe that dating or seeking a spouse is the wisest choice during these next few years. Here are some of the reasons why. The danger of dating during the time of the Antichrist. The Bible warns us in Matthew 24:24, for false Christs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. We are living in an age where deception is rampant. The rise of political figures or movements that seem to promise salvation or deliverance can lead to spiritual confusion, especially when these figures begin to take on roles that should be reserved for Christ alone. It's easy for people to become enamored with worldly leaders who claim to be the answer to all of our problems. But this, my friends, is exactly what the Bible warns us against: idolatry in all its forms. For singles, this is particularly dangerous because many people are being spiritually led astray. There is an increasing temptation to look for a partner who shares your political views or to align yourself with someone who supports your particular worldview. But as believers, our primary allegiance is to Christ, not to any human leader or political party. But sadly, many Christians, potential partners, are currently following the cult of MAGA and are being led astray by Donald Trump, or they are simply ignorant of the times we are living in. So while the world around us may be in chaos, I want to encourage you not to jump into a relationship simply to have someone by your side. In these times, there's a risk that dating could lead you down a path of compromise. You don't want to be yoked with someone who has misplaced priorities or who is more focused on earthly things than on the eternal. The Apostle Paul warned us in 1 Corinthians 6:14, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. This doesn't just mean people who outright reject Christ, but also those who may be distracted by false ideologies or misplace their trust in political figures rather than in God. Focus on ministry, not on marriage. As we navigate these troubling times, I want to speak directly to my single brothers and sisters. This is not the time to focus on dating. I know that's not what you might want to hear, but hear me out. Your relationship with Christ should be your top priority. There is no greater calling right now than to grow in your faith, serve the Lord, and be fully devoted to his kingdom. The Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 7:32 through 35 encourages us to consider the benefits of singleness. When you're single, you are free to devote yourself entirely to God's work without the distractions and responsibilities of marriage. Singleness is not a curse, it's an opportunity. Especially during the time of the Antichrist, singles are free to give themselves wholly to ministry, prayer, and examination. Also, keeping in mind the importance of striving to remain sexually pure should always be a goal for single believers. This is a time to deepen your relationship with God, focus on building the church, and invest in ministry without the pressures that come